you for joining us on Aarti Industries Q1 FY21 earnings conference call. We have with us today on this call Mr. Rajendra Gogri, Chairman and Managing Director of the company, Mr. Rashesh Gogri, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Chetan Gandhi, CFO of the company. Before we begin the call, I would like to point out that some statements made in today's call may be forward-looking in nature, and a disclaimer to this effect has been included in the results presentation shared with you. I would now like to invite Mr. Rajendra Gogri to take you through the performance of the company and his outlook on the business. We will then open the forum for Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening and very warm welcome to all of you. Firstly, I would like to wish you all to be in good health and to stay safe in the current very difficult situation created by the COVID-19 pandemic. I trust that all of you would have received Q1 FY21 financial results presentation that has been uploaded in the stock exchange website earlier today. Q1 performance was largely in line with our expectations and the outlook shared with all of you during our previous interaction. As shared last time, during the quarter on account of the lockdown-linked restriction, our units for the specialty chemical segment were operating at about 50% capacity in the month of April. The same was subsequently ramped up progressively and thereby helping us to operate our units at about 80% in the months of May and June 20. We also faced challenges for the sale of our products to the customers in domestic market as some of our customers' units were also under lockdown during April and May. They started resuming activity on June 20. And hence this had impacted our sales in domestic markets. Thus, the quarter had the maximum impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the gross income from operations for the company was lower by 9% at rupees 1,035 crore. However, exports remain almost stable at rupees 487 crore. Within our business segment, revenue in specialty chemical declined by 11%, while pharma revenue moved up marginally. Q1 EBITDA saw a decline of 27% due to higher operating expense in the respect of new facility operationalized in Q4, including our fourth R&D center at New Bombay. The same also resulted in the increase in depreciation cost for the company. On account of lower demand and logistic-related challenges faced during the quarter, resulted into higher inventory at the end of Q1 FY21. Considering the value of care, we had extended our support to fight against COVID. In this regard, various measures have taken up to support contract workers impacted due to the lockdown restriction and COVID. Additional measures were done to support the NGOs leading to the fight by providing necessary PPE medical equipment as per the need of the hour. We are also supported by making CSR contribution to PM CARES and State Relief Fund. The committee had contributed over rupees 10 crore for this cause. During the quarter, the specialty chemical business was impacted by weakness in some key end-user applications such as automotive, aerospace, dyes, intermediate, pigment, etc. that are dependent on discretionary spending. Demand from other segments such as pharma, agro and FMCG, which contribute about 60% of our revenues, has remained firm. I also want to highlight for the quarter we have recognized revenue of rupees 38 crore being the shortfall fee eligible as per the terms of the long-term contract. Now for the Q1 production update, given the restriction due to lockdown, the production quantities in Q1 were lower as compared to the last year. The production for nitrochlorobenzene was about 13,000 metric ton for Q1 as compared to 16,100 metric ton a year back. Similarly, for the hydrogenated product, we have achieved production of about 2,050 metric ton, was about 1,880 metric ton last year. On the nitrotoluene front, the production for Q1 was about 2,140 metric ton, which was about 2,750 metric ton last year. At present, we are operating at around 90% of the capacity across location and expect a steady improvement in operating and financial performance through the next 3 quarters for the chemical segment. During the quarter, our pharma facility continued to function efficiently. After some initial disruption, they have been able to deliver Y-on-Y growth and substantial expansion in margins driven by growing supplies of off-patent generics and other value-added products. Driven by higher operating leverage and product mix, segment profit expanded significantly from rupees 32 crores to rupees 45 crore, which is a new high for the segment while maintaining flattish top line. Going forward, capacity expansion will drive deeper penetration in therapies such as anti-hypertensive, cardiovascular, oncology, corticosteroid, etc. We also have a strong pipeline of approval and visibility to maintain growth momentum. The pharma business continues to see profitable traction and growth will be accompanied by margin sustaining above 20% level. After the delays as updated by us last time in respect of various projects due to COVID-19 related challenges of lockdown, logistic issues, and labor migration. The project work has gathered momentum, and the major works are now on track to completion as per the timeline last discussed by us. We like to share that chlorination project is at its final stage and expected to be commissioned in the current quarter, while the other projects such as NCB expansion of pharma US FDA unit facility for the long-term contract are scheduled to be coming on stream as to FY21 and FY22 in accordance with the plans given earlier. In line with our previously stated guidance and as explained above, we have witnessed the maximum impact of COVID-19 on our Q1 performance. This has resulted into our consolidated EBITDA to be lower at rupees 182 crores for Q1 FY21 as compared to rupees 2119 crores for Q4 FY20 and 250 crores for Q1 FY20. And the consolidated PAT for Q1 FY21 was rupees 82 crores as compared to rupees 110 crores for Q4 FY20 and rupees 138 crores for Q1 FY20. As communicated earlier, we see the business delivering the EBITDA growth in FY21, whereas profits are expected to be flat based on the higher cost of the expanded base of operations. We invested rupees 222 crores in capital expenditure programs during the first quarter and are on track for our planned capex of about rupees 1,000 to 1,200 crores for FY21. Going forward, our pipeline of new chemistry, processes and products remain robust, backed by deep customer engagement and substantial investment in world-class manufacturing facility. We remain strongly positioned to benefit as India gains traction as a preferred supply location for global corporations that look to establish stable and de-risk long-term strategic supply arrangements. Overall, we see the business bouncing back from this near-term disruption faced due to COVID-19 and will be able to maintain long-term profit growth guidance of 15-20% over the next 3-4 years. With that, I conclude my opening comments and will open the floor for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. First question is from the line of Kishan Gupta from CB Research. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Bhagat Shah this side. So I wanted to ask what sort of integration do you have between the specialty chemicals and the pharmaceutical segments?
Oh, I couldn't understand the question.
So I'm asking what sort of integration is there between the pharmaceutical and the specialty chemical segments?
No, there is no integration. Virtually, we don't supply to pharma, except maybe limited basic raw material like sulfuric acid or DMS.
Okay, so virtually no integration as such?
No.
Okay. And so on the administrative side as well, nothing?
Their manufacturing sites are totally different, basically. There are no overlapping manufacturing in the same site. Pharma sites are totally different, so that way administration is separate.
Okay. And so how much revenue can come from new products over the next few years?
In pharma, we expect 20% top line growth for next few years.
Okay, and specialty chemicals, sir?
Yeah, that should be upward of 1,000 crores from the projects which are on.
Sorry, 1,000 crores you said, sir?
Yeah.
That this is over next 3 to 5 years?
More of next 2 to 3 years.
1,000 crores next 2 to 3 years in specialty. And pharma, you said, sir, 20%. How much of that would be from new products?
So we are combining both. So basically, it will be expansion of current portfolio as well as the new product. So it will be mix of both. We can say 50% would be new product and expansion of current range of product. Because in pharma, normally the gestation period of any product to go commercial is almost 3 to 5 years. So though we produce this product in smaller quantities, so it becomes an existing product and that grows also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, sir. And what would be the you said planned capex of 1,000 to 1,200 crores? Can you give us a bifurcation if that's possible?
Yeah, we announced various numbers earlier. When our nitrochlorobenzene expansion is going on, which is about 150 crores, and pharma expansion currently is on, which is also about 150 crores, and this various long-term, the third long-term contract is about 135 crores. So these are the major expansions which are going on right now.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for giving this opportunity, sir. Sir, if you can just give me some clarity, what is this provision of 38 crore which has been created relating to the specialty chemical business, and in which line item that is factored in?
Chetan.
Yeah. So basically, we have long-term contract where there are specific provisions of take-or-pay and other things. This is in relation to the contract. For a quarter, they have to buy certain quantity, and if not, the differential is being eligible as the shortfall fee. This is being added to the revenue from operations.
Sir, this is a charge or this is a revenue that is been factored, sir? I couldn't understand. See, whether this is a shortfall fee, means this is a charge or this is a income that we have booked?
So it will be an income.
Okay.
It will be eligible to an income.
Okay. So that means this is nothing to do with the kind of a deal cancellation, the compensation from the deal cancellation, right?
Yeah, that will be coming in the next year. So this year will be still, on a shortfall fee.
Sir, whether this is relating to the first contract which has been cancelled?
Yeah.
Okay. So see, we had guided about something like this, around $120 odd million kind of total compensation that we would be getting. Out of that, $20 million possibly this year and $20 million next year. But this $20 million implication at the EBITDA level that we would be seeing. So whether this 38 crore is just a kind of a compensation that we have received and factor in the top line, which would be flowing directly to the EBITDA. Is that correct?
Yes. That's what I meant. Basically, out of 20 million expected in this financial year, the first quarter we have provided 5 million.
Okay. Understood, sir. So now second question, sir, on the specialty chemical business again. So this margin correction, what we are seeing YOY, or even the overall gross margin that correction that we are seeing, or flattest gross margin scenario that we are seeing. So not able to really understand. Here we are seeing a kind of an improved product mix for the specialty chemical and all. And the prices of the products has not corrected as much as that of the correction levels in the input prices. So why is the gross margin is so benign or is low, or in the specialty chemical why it is down?
Yeah, that is because the overall effective volumes are down, and you see the overall inventory also is higher. There is a gain in inventory also because of the first was the initial production disruption, and then because of the demand slowdown, the sales have been down. So, corresponding, then it depends on, what kind of sales which is down. That has impacted operating profit. That operating profit impact on the EBIT level, it impacts more than as a percentage level.
Yeah. But on the gross margin level, whether that justifies, sir?
Yeah, at EBIT margin, that's what I'm saying. Percentage will impact more you on this EBIT margin reduction.
Okay. Sir, whether this R&D center that we commissioned or all that, so whether that is also kind of creating a kind of a dent to the overall margin scenario?
Oh, that will not be much, no. That's not a significant.
Okay. And just last question from my side. In the API side, are you really seeing any kind of advantage in terms of supply opportunity because of China may not be catering, or people might be thinking of replacing from China practically? What is the case that has been observed with many other API players? So whether do you also see similar kind of trends in the export market or anything on that front?
Yeah, in the API intermediate market, that is what is the trend that you rightly said that, generic players don't want to buy intermediates from China if they are able to get the same intermediate from India. And in API space, we cater to more regulated markets, and these projects, customers can't switch overnight. So these are long-term projects, and had there been COVID or no COVID, we would have got here basically in terms of the numbers and operating efficiency. Of course, our local sales relatively is less in the API category in our pharma, but local sales has seen some improvement of late, but the base is lower.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine, sir. Thank you. Wish you all the best. I have a couple of more questions. I'll be in the queue.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chetan Thakur from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I missed the number on NCB and PDA. And second question was, is there any currency benefit that you would like to separately call out?
So I'll just give you the numbers for NCB and PDA. So NCB, we had the production of almost 13,000 tons in this quarter.
13,000?
Yeah, 13.
Okay.
And the PDA number, just one second.
360 tons.
PDA was around 360 tons per month for the quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, and on the forex, it would not be any significant number. Anyway, that's given as a part of the note in the financials which have been there, but it's not significant.
Okay. And the way to look at the specialty chemical EBIT number would be, we'll be booking this 5 million for 4 quarters now this year, and a similar number for 4 quarters in the next year as well. And then the final compensation that comes in will come in. That would be a right way to see.
Yes.
Yeah, broadly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arun Prasad from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, sir. My question would be, you gave a revenue guidance of around 1,000 crores in specialty chemical top line. This is equal to around 8% growth. Am I right in the understanding, sir? 8% per annum on the current base?
Yeah, I think that will have to be checked out, the number wise.
We'll have to check on this because
rather where I'm getting is that the 1,000 crores that you told is for the next 2-3 years combined, right? Not as a
Yeah.
So on the current base of around
1,000 crore, 1,000 crore plus, you should get it.
So will there be any non-linear expansion in the margin, margins as compared to the top line?
Actually, top line is something, which generally because of, as we have been mentioning, benzene and all, they are, we are raw material pass-through model. So exact top line, it will be tough to trust. The exact number, I think, will not have readily available. But as with going forward, once we have a value-added products, our EBITDA margin to the turnover will increase simultaneously. It will be both, There will be increase in EBITDA margin also.
So EBITDA growth should be much more than 8%. Is it?
Yeah. Could you just repeat the question?
I was saying that EBITDA, the absolute EBITDA from the specialty chemical projects, though you don't disclose, that should be much higher than the revenue growth. That is what you're implying?
Yeah. So going forward, the EBITDA growth will be higher than top line.
All right, sir. So one more, you mentioned that the chlorination capacity is about to be commissioned in this quarter. So given that current slowdown, lower volume uptake, how will you be filling this capacity? Will it be just a depreciation charging, or there will be any incremental revenue from this project? Can you just throw some light on this?
Yeah, our current we are almost full. So this will be able to sell part of this volumes coming out of this.
Will it be mostly like a PDCB kind of a product, or more value-added products out of this capacity also?
Yeah, it will be both value-added also, as well as the baseline products.
Right from the first quarter?
Yes.
Okay, sir. And can you just throw some light on the NCB expansion? Where is the current stage? Is it still on track, or is it delayed, or there will be the utilization will be full? Some light on that front.
Yeah, first phase will be in second half of this year, and second phase will be more happening in maybe towards the second half of next year.
All right, sir. Okay. My final question is, can you just give little bit explanation on how the product mix have changed, say before COVID and after COVID, during the COVID, in the specialty chemical segment? Is it back on track, or is it a permanent change? Some explanation on that front would be great.
Yeah, basically demand on a product which are going into textile and construction and aerospace and auto, that demand is down. So during this year, and this quarter, it will be down for this entire year. And subsequently, I think next year, as the global economy starts recovering, FY22, we expect volume to be more than FY21, especially on this are more economy linked. So the product mix, as a percentage basis, we are more skewed now on agro and pharma for this quarter.
All right. So the EBIT margin that for whatever is there for current quarter, so that would be the fair estimation of what would be there unless and until things improve. Is it right?
No, the volumes will improve. Overall volumes itself will improve. Because this quarter was bad because of the lockdown, and customers were also not. So that's why this was the worst quarter. But going forward, we see the absolute volumes will start increasing in this sector also.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhijit Akella from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, sir. Thanks a lot for taking my questions. Just to clarify whether this 38 crore amount you have booked is whether any cash has been received against this, or this is on an accrual basis.
It's on an accrual basis.
Okay. And the cash, when do we expect to get on this account?
That will be a year-ending provision, no, basically, at the year-end.
Okay, so that means the entire, 2 years out, when the full lump sum payment comes, that's when the cash will be booked.
No.
This is part of the annual set-off. So after the end of the year, the cash would come as regards this account.
Understood. So every year they need to settle the balance for the year. Understood. Second, just on the expense items, there has been an increase in employee cost on a sequential basis by about 12 crore rupees. Is this largely because of the new R&D center, or is any other one-time provisions, etc.? And also in the segment reporting, the other unallocated expenses have increased on a sequential basis. So again, just wondering if there are any one-off items within these.
So on the segment, on the other unallocable, there is out of the total amount of 10 plus crores, 7.5 crore relates to the spend for the COVID CSR activities for COVID, which is like contribution to the PM CARES fund, the state relief fund, NGOs and other activity. The staff cost, people cost has gone up. There have been a couple of factors. One, the new facilities, like in Q4 we commissioned some of the first phase of the Dahej unit. So there's been a manpower cost coming in over there. Plus we've been extending support to the contractors and other people who have been operating during the lockdown situation, and to various employees who have been doing that. So there has been additional staff welfare cost related to that as well, and standard level of increment over here. Even that has been released in the normal manner. So it's combination of all of that.
Got it. That's helpful. And also just on the pharma side, if I may just ask, the margin expansion, is it in any way also because of an increase in prices or realizations of some of our key products, like say caffeine, for example? And what are the key raw materials in pharma, and how, have they registered some correction?
Yeah, so in pharma we had, basically advantage of the currency in this quarter, because the rupee got depreciated over last quarter. And also overall we were able to produce the budgeted volumes because we could sustain the production even during the COVID period. And as far as the caffeine and raw materials are concerned, yes, the caffeine, because during the last quarter there were issues in China, we had orders in the current quarter. We had large quantity orders in current quarter which we could cater because our production was continued. And the raw material prices slightly have started falling from mid of last quarter, and correspondingly I think caffeine prices also have started dropping a little bit. So that raw material and caffeine prices are going to move in tandem. So there may not be a heavy impact on the margin.
Okay. What is the key raw material we use in this one?
No, there are several raw materials which are used in manufacturing of caffeine. So it could be acetic anhydride or cyanoacetic acid or sodium nitrite. Several. Actually, there are more than 10 raw materials which are used.
Got it. That's really helpful. Just one last quick one, and I'll get back in the queue. Just with regard to this 1,000 crore top line outlook that we provided for specialty chemicals, am I right sort of in estimating that say about 500 crores comes from the second long-term project, another 100 crores from the third long-term project, and then if you could also just help us fill in the gap. I mean, the remainder is coming from which projects specifically over the next 2-3 years? Thank you so much.
Yeah. And this nitrochlorobenzene expansion also will come. This chlorobenzene expansion, then nitrotoluene get ramped up, PDA ramped up. Actually 1,000 crore, it will be more than 1,000. I had put upward of 1,000 crore. So we expect that to be still further more than that. So across the value chain, nitrochlorobenzene, nitrotoluene, PDA and chlorobenzene, Other than those two contracts, we'll have a volume growth across the various lines.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Gupta from Ambit Capital. Please go ahead.
So just wanted to understand a bit more on the 1,000 crore revenue guidance that they are giving. So you are talking about 1,000 crore incremental revenues on specialty or overall? And is it like
for specialty?
Okay, it is for specialty. And this is for
1,000 crore.
It's upward of 1,000 crores, so it's not an absolute number. As I mentioned earlier, the top line is not a major thing, we generally track. It is more on the volume and how much operating profit and gross profit we are going to generate. So that is a bigger number which we track. So exact top line estimate growth, I think we'll have to do, but it will be upward of 1,000. Yeah.
In that context, would you like to give any EBITDA guidance? Because revenue guidance, if it doesn't reflect rightly, then there is no point.
Yeah. No, so overall, we are seeing that, 3-4. So this EBITDA is a range of 12 to 18% growth rate as a company level. Yeah, we are looking at those kind of numbers.
Okay. And sir, on the capex bit, when you were mentioning capex to one of the earlier participants, you said capex about 1,200 crores, out of which you said nitrochlorobenzene is 150 and pharma is another 150, and then the third long-term contract is 130. So any other heads, because it leaves a gap of about 500 crores.
So it says there would be the normal or maintenance capex, which is generally mirroring depreciation of around 250 odd crores, and then there are a lot of other projects, works, and other products and expansion and activities are going on. So it will be a combination of all of those as well.
Okay. And from a recovery perspective, what is your take? Is it gonna be like you're already seeing some green shoots as economy is reopening? Plus, I would understand that there would be some benefits you would have already started to get from some of your previous year capex from a growth perspective. What you have done in the last 2-3 years. So to that extent, what is you had earlier given a guidance of flat EPS or flat profit, I think in the previous call. Would you maintain that for FY21 or would it change?
Yeah, we are maintaining the same one. Main reason is that there is a global slowdown. Basically, as you are aware,
Yeah.
US, Europe, India, everything is slowed down economy. So all the products which are going in that, that sectors, the volumes are impacted. So that's why whatever the capacity growth we will have, against that, the demand slowdown. Because of that, the combined impact we are seeing flattish instead of a growth.
Okay.
So
But you are not changing your 21 guidance.
No.
So what we are saying that we will be recouping the gaps what we have in the Q1 in the subsequent quarters.
Okay. That's helpful. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naushad Chaudhary from Systematics. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity. So I missed your initial remark of 2-3 minutes, so apology if I ask any repetitive questions. You share your NCB and PDA volume. Can you also share your hydrogenation and nitrotoluene production of this quarter?
Yeah, so the nitrotoluene volume for the quarter is around 2140 tons. And hydrogenation is 2050 tons per. So nitrotoluene was per quarter and hydrogenation is 2050 per month.
Okay. Secondly, as of March 2020, we had an inventory of around 95 days. If you can talk about what is the current status of our inventory and has there any improvement versus the last quarter?
The inventory days would have gone up because if you see on the numbers, there's a higher inventory position as well, which is there. Some of it was impacted because of the restrictions or in terms of the port movement are not operating at full-fledged level. The logistics were affected. The customer facility started to operate from June gradually. So the inventory levels have gone up a bit. We don't have the current numbers in data, but yes, it has gone up.
Yeah, would it be fair to assume it should be more than 100 or 110 days versus 95 days earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you also share the revenue mix of your Spec Chem in terms of value-added products versus traditional products?
Sorry, the inventory level, I don't think it would have reached 100 days. Even in last quarter, it was not beyond 90 days or less than 90 days. So I guess some correction in the numbers needs to be done at your end.
Okay, so which side of inventory is piling up for us? Is it for finished goods or is it for the raw material which we have accumulated?
It is more on the side of finished good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess you are referring to the higher inventory probably for Q4 was related to some of the products which we were importing from China for the pharma side of the business, where we used to maintain a higher inventory cycle beyond 100 days as a normal practice to encompass the issues related to the pollution and other problems in China. So that was on the pharma side, but on the company level, that was still a smaller number.
Okay. And how much revenue, what was the percentage of the revenue share from the value-added products in our Spec Chem?
So the value-added product would be close to around 76% kind of stuff.
Okay.
Sorry, 74%.
74.
Yeah.
Okay. And last one on the inventory loss, as you mentioned in the last quarter, there was a steep fall in the benzene prices, and we were expecting some inventory loss in this quarter because of this. If you can quantify how much inventory loss was there in this quarter?
We are yet to work out the full number, but yeah, there has been some inventory loss, but there has been also some offset because in few of our export commitments, the contract has a quarterly leg on the pricing curve. So the earlier quarter pricing prevailed in Q1 as well. So it would have erased or helped us map some of the losses which would be there. I still have to look at the numbers and we probably come back to you with that subsequently.
Okay, sir. I'll come back in queue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dipesh Mehta from SBI Cap Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Couple of questions. First, about the 20 million which we are likely to receive from shortfall fees. I just want to understand its implication on your EBITDA margin for the segment. Ideally, your operating margin for that segment should benefit from it, right? If that is true, your margin should be much higher than what you earlier used to report, because you don't have any expenses related to that revenue, which generally flows through. So you should have actually significant benefit because of the way you account that business. If you can help me understand or reconcile this.
So, Dipesh, there would be still certain costs related to the people, the overheads to the facility and other stuff. So, yeah, there would be some benefit, but I would still have a significant cost also which is coming in. So, we have to find.
Yeah, the depreciation of the first phase also will come in. So, so overall, I think about 3.5 crore or something. Yeah.
But your raw material is roughly half of the revenue, broadly.
Yeah, so expense maybe around 10% will be only the expense.
Yeah, so now let's say if I look our specialty chemical used to operate 20% plus margin in normal time. Now, with this benefit, whether we can see similar improvement in your specialty chemical margin. Even the Q1 was one-off because of COVID-19 related implication, but going into next 3 quarters, whether that performance would be 20% plus this benefit.
Yeah, that's what we are saying. That going forward, Q2 onwards, we expect further, the plants are operating at higher capacities, and in general, the volumes, demand volumes are also better than what were in Q1, because Q1 there was a substantial lockdown in some of our customer facility in India, and local sales was down. So we'll have a higher production as well as sales going forward in Q2 and second half also. So we expect,
let me rephrase. Let's say earlier we used to operate 20% plus. With this 20 million benefit, whether we will reach to 25% kind of margin.
No, as a percentage, I think it will again boil down to raw material price and everything. But at the EBIT level, absolute number, the number will grow. Yeah.
Okay. So broadly, that flow will be reflected from Q2 onwards.
Yes, sure. That will reflect.
Understood. Sir, second question is about end user industries. Now we have seen roughly 40% of industries where demand we have witnessed, and 60 is fairly stable. How you see, let's say now in August, those 40% industries, whether some recovery or it is still remain weak?
No, it is going to remain weak. It is not going to go off in one quarter. The entire year will be weaker, but progressively the weakness is expected to become less and less. Still, I don't think Q4 will be reaching the full. It is next year only. All these discretionary sectors, demand will reach to the original level.
Understand. And sir, last question is about the government announced some production linked incentive scheme. Whether we have any plan to play on it kind of thing with a new product introduction or some capex, if you can provide your thought process around it.
We are studying the list, and the segment in which in the pharma segment we are operating generally in the newer products, and the products which have been mentioned in the PLI are more older products in terms of the innovation. And though there are some matches, we are studying it, and we'll take a call on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitin Agarwal from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question, sir. Sir, on with this all these lockdowns and the travel restrictions which are going on, has there been any meaningful impact on our business development activities, and to the extent does it have any implications for our growth over the next few quarters?
No, I think this is making more efficient, I think, working from home. We have been able to connect to our overseas customer also on a conference call and all that. So I think the entire world, everybody is used to getting now working from home and working on remotely. So as far as the business development work with the customers and all, we don't see any significant impact at all.
In that continuation of that, with all of this and just over the last few months, there has been increased backlash against China. Have you begun to see any impact of that in the kind of inquiries that you are getting? Any color on that?
Can you repeat the question, please? Sorry.
I'm saying, with the last 3-4 months, there has been this incremental focus on companies looking to de-risk out of China and alternate supplying sources and all. In the conversations that we're having with clients, so what kind of changes that you're seeing in the inquiries that you are getting on business development, sir?
Yeah, that is what is happening across the board. I think in past also we have seen, there we are at a more advantage, because we don't import anything from China. We start from benzene and all. So now the buzzword is the supply chain independent of China. If they want to buy anything from India, they want that we don't, the Indian players should not buy intermediates from China. So we are getting inquiry where the product value might be even $30, $40, $50, $60. So that traction is there, and a lot of those products are under development and will come into production in coming years. We are going to plan to set up a multi-purpose kind of a block also, where in future, we can commercialize those kind of products faster.
Okay. So when do you see impact of some of these initiatives playing out for you? I mean, it's going to be more like a 22, 23, where some of these...
Yes. It will be it will be more starting in FY23, not in these 2 years. Actual financial impact on the production front will only happen in FY23.
Okay. And so I'll just link to that. On the capex front, you highlighted the capex for this year. Next year, I guess you will not have these large 2 or 3 blocks which you outlined earlier. So how should we look at capex from FY22 and say and beyond, sir? How are you looking at it right now?
Yeah, we are going to get a chlorotoluene range capex coming in. We have identified some fluoro intermediates also, which are more of a downstream of our current range of products. So that fluoro intermediate blocks and chlorotoluene and downstreams are the products which are on a design phase right now. So construction of those plants will start in next financial year, FY22, and we'll start commercializing in FY23. That's a broad, totally new range of products will happen.
Okay. And so lastly, on the pharma side, I mean, what is it? I mean, from our perspective, there has obviously been a lot of positivity on the API space in China. So our business mix, how much is intermediates and how much is APIs? And incrementally, bulk of the growth for us is going to be newer filings, or this is going to be using a lot of scope for growth in the current portfolio itself?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. For us, the business is split between 3 segments in pharma. One is API, one is intermediates, and third is the xanthine-based, where the caffeine and the derivatives come into the play. And more or less it is equal between all the three segments. And, growth we are seeing in API and API intermediates. Of course, no one wants to drink cola in the current situation of COVID. So that is where we are seeing a little bit of pushback on the demand.
But are we looking to significantly up our investments in these 2 categories based upon what we see in the market, or?
Yes. So basically we have announced expansion of our API facility, which is USFDA approved by acquiring adjacent land, and basically we will be doubling our in our API facility. And also in the intermediates, one block will get, started in this current quarter. And then we are also looking at possibly a new site where we can expand the intermediates in next couple of years.
Okay, right. Thanks and best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Sir, first question is on your guidance which you are talking about, even at EBITDA level also over next 2 to 3 years. So we have seen that current year we have in FY20 end, you had a significant CWIP of almost 1,400 crores, which you have yet to get converted into gross block and start producing revenue from that. Also looking 1,000 crores further capex in the current year, though out of that 400 to 500 crores can be maintenance and other small capex, but 500 crores is still a larger capex leading to revenue. So almost close to 2,000 crore rupees capex which we are going to spend, and I believe that given an 18-month gestation period also, so by 22 everything should be stuff should start coming in a revenue. So with the 2,000 crore investment, sir, and if I look at your earlier track record of close to 1.5x asset turnover, so isn't it that we are missing something, or even close to 3,000 crore rupees incremental revenue should flow in a specialty chemical, though I understand that you are saying that raw material price volatility is there, but despite that, ideally 3,000 crore rupees revenue should get added by 23 in our specialty chemical business. How you look at that?
No, as we mentioned earlier, that now the more value-added products are going to come in. So as a
Hello, sir, I missed your voice.
Definitely the turnover will be more than 1,000 crore. That was upward of 1,000 crore what we had mentioned. But it will not be asset to turn ratio will be relatively lesser in that sense. And as EBITDA percentage will be higher. So that's how it is.
Right, sir. But even if it is a value addition, I hope that the incremental capex which we have done in last year and doing this current year, it's not ROC dilutive, right? So ultimately at EBITDA level or ROC level, we must see that the cash flows and the profitability should justify this kind of capex. And we have been having almost 20% plus ROC in our specialty chemical business. So I hope that this capex justifies that, or is in line with those ROC which we have been enjoying.
Yeah, that is what will happen. Basically, you see, entire world 2021 is a washout because of this pandemic. So 2021 loss will be recovered in 21-22, and then 22-23. You see that by FY23, the ROC numbers have to recover. That's what is going to happen,
no? Okay. Sir, second, just clarity on this contract which got terminated. You mentioned that 38 crore rupees, so it's directly added at EBIT level and in revenues because the incremental cost on that is hardly anything. And we are not producing this product, right? Because we had earlier a choice of produce if the customer wants that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we continue to not to produce, but they continue to provide us almost $5 million every quarter.
Yeah, that's how the contract is.
Right. And sir, you were also mentioning that you will start looking for some other market for this product. So are we working on those lines, or first we want to wait for 2 years till the time the contract is with this customer, and then only we can start looking for the customers for this contract for this product?
No, we never had a restriction on that way. So that we are looking at other markets. We'll also evaluating whether to go for further downstream in this. That is still on a drawing board. We have not crystallized our philosophy on that. We can always supply to the other people who are manufacturing the same active ingredient. So these are the various options which we are looking at, but nothing has been crystallized yet.
And so just last, and I will come back in question. Sir, in pharma business, current year you are doing roughly 150 crore capex, but you seem quite optimistic with the current scenario in both APIs and intermediates. So over next 2 to 3 years, what kind of investment do you envisage that can be absorbed in the pharma business, both in a new facility as well as the brownfield expansion?
So in pharma, we are looking at 100 to 150 crore investment further, in next couple of years. 150 crore.
150 crore every year for next 2 years?
No, we would be looking at 75 to 100 crore every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratik Rangnekar from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just one confirmation on the contract that got cancelled, that got terminated. You had mentioned that the 120 to 130 million was your initial assessment. Have you got any confirmation from the client for this as yet, or it still stays as an assessment?
Yeah, basically that is more or less in that range. As of now, I would say.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Basically on the timing of payment and all, we can do some I don't know. So that's how it can go up and down. In that sense, if you want early payment, then it will go. So it all depends. But it will be in this range. That's how we are saying.
Okay, fine. My next question is on your other expenses. So if you could just quantify how much would be the variable component in your say staff costs and other expenses. The reason I'm asking is because we do not see much of a dip, even if we say adjust for the 10 crore extra donation, the PM Care donation and all of that, which ideally maybe there should have been some savings this quarter is what we would have expected. So if you could just quantify how much would be the variable component in your other expenses.
Pratik, we'll have to work on that. Probably some other time we'll have answer to this.
Okay, fair. No problem, Chetan. And just maybe lastly, you mentioned some of your newer CapEx initiatives which are still on the drawing board. If you could maybe quantify what kind of an opportunity do you expect, or what kind of, is that like an import substitution thing, or is there some number on opportunity number that you can put to that? The chlorotoluene and the fluoro intermediates that you mentioned.
From China. Just like we have a nitrochlorobenzene and chlorobenzene and nitrotoluene, this entire chain will get ramped up in next 3 to 5 years. And some other various specialty intermediates and also customer related products will come into that. So it will be so basically it's an import substitute. Second thing, it is diversification also, that a lot of European and American companies want to diversify their source from India to India from China. So, and certain products are growing globally. So generally we see 3 factors. Either it has to be an import substitute, or it has to be a global growth, or where the customer wants to de-risk. That is the primary criteria for selecting any product line.
Okay, fine. So just 1 second. So what related products did you mention? I didn't catch that word.
No, either it has to be growing globally, that those product, the downstream product demand has to grow, or it has to be an import substitution, or third is, where the customer want to de-risk. Demand may not be growing, but they want to de-risk their supply chain. So these 3 factors are the major factors, for selecting the products. So we'll not select somebody else and is making in India and we try to capture their market share.
Okay, fine. So just one more if I can squeeze in. In the pharma segment also, are we independent from China, or is there some dependence on China there?
Yeah, in pharma, we have steroid range of products where, our dependency is there on China, because steroids are manufactured only in China and US largely. And apart from these products, there are certain intermediates that we buy, but we also have our own intermediate manufacturing block which supports our API manufacturing. So advanced intermediates of most of our products are manufactured by us only.
Okay. Would you like to put a number to that? How much would that be, China dependence, in the pharma segment specifically?
We will have to work out that number, but if you see the global chemical industry, anything which is not made in India and it comes from China. So largely, a lot of small intermediates would come from China.
Okay, fair enough, sir. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Siddharth Mohta from Principal India. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So just wanted to reconfirm that out of 38 crore, which is forming a part of revenue, so how much will flow at PBT level?
90% plus.
Okay, so which is around 30%. Okay, thank you and best wishes for the coming quarter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagaraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. So first question is related to the long-term contract which is terminated. Now the facility is ready, So are we using the facility for any other purposes? And if not, what will be the maintenance cost to just keep up the facility in workable condition on a yearly basis?
We already started utilizing that facility and exporting.
Okay. And I suppose this was a dichlorobenzene plant, and we also have another capex on the chlorination project, which is currently ongoing. So are these two different products, or they are the same products?
No, it's the entire value chain. So our chlorination plant is value addition. Total different chemicals, but sequential.
Okay. And the second question is in terms of this year's guidance that we are providing. So 40% of our specialty chemical business is going through a rough patch, which accounts for almost 400 crores of quarterly run rate. And that is yet to, as you're expecting that it will be a gradual recovery. So how are we so confident that we'll be able to maintain the profitability at FY20 levels? Is it because there are firm orders which are supposed to be executed and on which we will have some kind of a take or pay agreement, or there is any other factor which we are missing?
Yeah, this is a deemed direct. We are getting this $20 million is a compensation. It's like a deemed sales, So that is actually a newer business. So that will directly add. That is compensating the volume loss in other factors.
Sorry. Probably I was not clear. So I was.
What you are saying is because the demand is down, we are maintaining the similar guidelines.
Right.
Because this $20 million isn't totally additional thing. It's coming on the product this line of agrochemical. So that is a new additional profit in this year coming at lines. So that is what will be compensating the volume loss which we will be seeing in the other sectors.
Okay. And the 1,000 crore revenue, incremental revenue guidance for specialty, that is for FY22, if I'm right.
It was more of a 2 to 3 years kind of a numbers we are given, yes.
All right, sir. Thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nav Bharadwaj from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for taking my question. So my first question would be on the bullet payment that we are supposed to receive at the end, the 500 to 600 odd crores. My understanding is that would be a capital receipt. Is that correct?
No, it will be at least from the tax and accounting perspective, it's a revenue receipt.
It's a revenue receipt. Oh, all right. Sir, in terms of the last CWIP that we had mentioned, that was at somewhere around 1,400 odd crores. Do we expect to capitalize the entire amount this year?
We would have a substantial, capitalization also that happening in this year.
All right, and so subsequent utilization in the next year should be seen from the same, right?
Yeah. So typically we have like 3 to 4 years of ramp up pay. So that's where we start seeing the utilization happening.
And sir, in the Spec Chem revenue that we got this quarter of roughly 840 odd crores, how much of it would be non-agro, non-pharma entail in that revenue basket?
So I guess non-agro, non-pharma would be in the range of around 30, 45% kind of stuff.
35%. All right. Thank you so much. All the best going ahead, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vivek Kumar from Safe Investments. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the
Vivek, we can't hear you, sir. Can you be a bit loud, please? Use the handset now.
Thank you, sir. This question is with respect to the demerged entity of Aarti Chem. So what is the current capacity in MT and the expansion plans for the next 3 years and the capex amount which we need?
No, this is question regarding what?
Aarti Chem.
So that is running as a separate company, so we'll not have any idea on that.
Okay. Any vision we can give, like it was demerged from this company? So
Yeah, it's a separate board of directors. The listing got delayed because of the regulatory issue, but the company is functioning almost independently for almost a year now.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Shah from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Chintan, these take or pay shortfall. Now, a contract like this, normal business should be running on a month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter. So if there is a shortfall and for which they have to compensate, why should you wait for a whole year before they pay you?
So when we had entered the contract, we didn't anticipate that we will have such an instance coming in. You would have regular supplies going on, and it's better to do the calculation at the end of the year rather than doing it every month because it becomes too much of a tedious activity.
So the calculation was supposed to be there will be annual targets, and then based on the annual lift up, what is the shortfall? It's not a quarterly way this shortfall is calculated. So that's why now we have to calculate at the end of the year and then get the money for that. So that's how that's done.
But now that Rajendra bhai, the shortfall is a reality, that it is going to remain in a perpetual state of shortfall. Shouldn't they be paying you on a more shorter period basis rather than making you wait all year for that payment?
No, it will be purely as per the contract. The contract is very clear. What is the shortfall of the entire year, you get accordingly.
I see. Okay. And I suppose based on that provision of the accrual of the income, you will be required to pay tax on that.
So whatever is the tax incidence, we will have to consider that.
Yeah, so it will attract tax. So you'll have an outflow before you get the income.
It will be still in SEZ. So the entire unit has been put up in SEZ, Special Economic Zone.
I see. So that particular part doesn't have much tax. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sagar Jetwani from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sir, how many commercial APIs do we have now, and how many are in development stage?
Currently, we are producing more than 40 APIs, and we have the R&D program where we are going to have 5 products which will get commercialized in this year, and another 10 are under development.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, any guidance on debt number in next 2 years, since we are undergoing capex this year, and post that we are looking at chlorotoluene range of products. So any plans to become debt free maybe in 3, 4, 5 years? Any guidance over there?
No, as a company, we don't believe in debt free philosophy, because when we have a 30% working capital, if we don't borrow against working capital, then I think shareholder value is eroded. So fundamentally, debt-free concept doesn't gel.
So it should be around this range.
Yes. So because working capital will always be funded by debt.
Okay.
And any capex, depending on the capex cycle, we'll have a debt for the capex. That's how So generally, previously we used to have 0.8 to 1.2 as a debt equity, and now we have made it guidelines of 0.7 to 1. That is a broader debt equity parameters we have.
Okay, thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Sir, just one question on capex, which I'm still not able to get that
So 11,000 to 1,200 crore of capex, and if we just add up all the capexes which you have mentioned, there is still almost a 500 crores which is I'm not able to reconcile. So if you can help with the remaining part of the capex, like you mentioned NCB 150, Pharma 150, long-term 3-year contract 135, and 250 crore of maintenance. So still almost a 500 worth of capex is what is into which all lines is what I wanted to understand.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. So
other parts also, some of the we are doing expansion and some new products are also being added. So what we have mentioned is that the big bucket items. In addition to that, some existing product debottlenecking as well as some new products are being added.
Okay. So it's like mostly debottlenecking. Does it include modernization as well, where it's not going to lead us to incremental capacity, but it's like on the environmental side, on the modernization front?
No, that is a normal capex. This will be more on a expansion or a new product. We are adding some new product and dedicated plan for the newer product also.
Okay, understood. And this is across all the products you are saying?
Yeah, different, different product, there will be a different stage of debottlenecking. As the volumes reach certain level and we try to see debottlenecking come expansion.
Okay. All right, sir. Understood. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akshat Ashok Naik from Alexandrite Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to know what's your 5-year target for revenue and profit after tax, please?
Sir, revenue, actually, we typically don't look at revenue from an overall basis because the revenue is linked with various raw material prices and other things.
Correct.
On the bottom line, we are targeting growth of around 15 to 20% on a year-on-year basis for 3 to 4 years. So probably you can look at similar kind of number.
Okay, and just another question. I've been seeing that the promoter holdings decrease. Is this in normal with the charity that you all were planning to do, or would you all be looking at increasing your promoter holding in the future?
Same, I think earlier also we had mentioned more for whatever charity we had announced. For that, we have been doing. Other than that, not much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Kaur from Systematics. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you, sir. Sir, please help me understand this. Sorry,
Ankit, you're not audible enough.
Am I audible now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Sir, if I remove 38 crore from revenue, my operating EBITDA is about 144 crore, which is roughly 16% margin. If this is the way, correct way to understand, my subsequent quarters when things normalizes, at that time, for example, my base business gives me 20% margin. On top of it, this 38 crore in every year if we include, then my overall EBITDA margin should look much better compared to pre-COVID level. How do we see this, sir? Can you please explain? Thank you.
So basically, as a margin, we are not looking at it. So absolute EBITDA level, as the volume expands, we'll see that the EBITDA will grow.
Yes, sir.
Because of the increase in the volumes in this Q2 and subsequent quarters.
Yes, so if you see Q3 number, for example, Q4 number, pre-COVID number, EBITDA was about 220 CR. If we consider Q3 again, we come to those 220 CR sort of run rate. On top of it, we can assume this 35 to 38 CR, this compensation or you can say the way you accounted for revenue. This is the way to understand, right? Then in that case, my EBITDA margin should be in the range of 24 to 26%.
That's what I'm saying. This year, EBITDA margin will shoot up because this 150 crores is without any direct top line. 50 directly at EBITDA level. So this year, our EBITDA margin will, if you look at margin, the margin as a percentage will definitely be higher this year.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Khetan from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. So my question is on the cancelled long-term contract. So will we continue to use the facility for the client for 2 years, or the capacity would be used for other customers?
No, we'll be using that for that product.
So the client would be using the facility for 2 years because that was the
No, client will not be using. They are not going to consume.
Okay, but we will say that here that the client will be using the facility for 2 years because we were in the notice period kind of a thing. So the client would not be using it as a thing.
No, because they are not putting up the plant, so they will not. But we will be give it to the other customers.
Okay, sure. And then the second question, the compensation amount of $120 to $130 million has this been vetted by the client?
Yes.
So customer has given a confirmation mail that this amount has been vetted by them.
Yeah. Their entire first press release was vetted by them.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments. Thank you, and over to you.
It has been a pleasure interacting with you over the call. We thank you for taking time out and engaging with us today. We value your continued interest and support. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the company, kindly reach our investor relations